Chapter 21, Princess Xiahou is here. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kill the Son of Luck and get 1 heavenly treasure box. Plunder 3,000 points of luck and get 12,000 points. Get 3,000 points of luck and increase your lifespan by 120 days. Complete the task within the specified time, trigger the heavenly blessing, and generate rewards. Congratulations to the host for getting 1 point for the advanced skills, which can improve the grade of all skills. Congratulations to the host for getting the golden finger, Wandao Ancient Jian. After the system prompt sound ended, Li Guanhai slowly opened his phoenix eyes and raised the corners of his mouth. After absorbing Li Tian's pupil power and cultivation, his realm advanced 1 step further and reached the peak of Xuanhuan, just 1 step away from Xuanhuan. What made him even more overjoyed was that the heavenly blessing actually rewarded a point for the advanced skills. This thing is simply against common sense, and the golden finger called Wandao Ancient Jian, it is probably Li Tian's golden finger, but I don't know what effect it has. I will study it carefully when I have time. Li Guanhai returned to the palace where he lived, enjoying Li Ningxuang's massage while checking the task rewards. First, the skill advancement points. He planned to use them to upgrade the grade of the Heaven-Shaking Dragon Palm. Heaven-Shaking Dragon Palm is the palm method used to seriously injure Li Tian just now. Strangely enough, Li Guanhai was born with this palm method, not learned it later. I don't know if it is God's favor or brought from the previous life to this life. Heaven-Shaking Dragon Palm has a total of 18 levels. Each level increases the power of a dragon and an elephant, which is invincible to gods and ghosts. After practicing, you can practice the way to communicate with gods and the art of penetrating the universe. You can cut through the void and shatter the universe with your palm, which contains the divine power of heaven and earth. Once the move is performed, it is like a dragon roaring in the sky, and the sound shakes all directions. Li Guanhai opened the personal information panel and chose to upgrade the grade of Heaven-Shaking Dragon Palm. This magical power has reached the highest grade and cannot be advanced. Cannot be used. Li Guanhai raised his eyebrows, and changed his mind. He did not intend to use the advancement points just like that. Let's keep it for now, maybe it can be used in the future. Then, he called out Li Tian's golden finger. This is a rectangular, palm-sized jade slip. Li Guanhai has almost understood the specific effects. This Wandao Ancient slip is like an encyclopedia, which knows all the difficult and complicated diseases in the world, as well as various techniques and taboos in cultivation. The reason why Li Tian's broken spiritual sea can be repaired is that he referred to the method on this ancient slip. With the help of Wandao Ancient Slip, he raised his cultivation to the Xianxue realm in just a few years, and his foundation is still very solid. Although this golden finger is not as amazing as imagined, Li Guanhai is still quite satisfied. Just use it as an encyclopedia, it will come in handy one day. Then he opened the heavenly Dao treasure box again. Li Tian has golden luck, so the treasure chest that dropped is also golden. The treasure chest opened with a bang, and a ball of golden light swept out. Ding! Congratulations to the host for his great luck in obtaining the Mind of the Gods. *1. Introduction. The mind of the gods before the birth of all living things in the universe. All the thoughts of living things originate from this. After cultivation, take the sun and the moon, shrink thousands of mountains, and know the time of the day, move the heaven and earth, move the stars and change the constellations. Avoid death and prolong life. This name sounds quite intimidating. The next moment, golden light drilled into the center of the eyebrows. Li Guanhai felt that he was integrated with the world, and everything became extremely clear. He could even see the stars in the sky moving and the wind and clouds changing. This is a method dedicated to the cultivation of the primordial spirit. The primordial spirit is a very powerful and terrifying force, because it is invisible and intangible. People with strong primordial spirits are often very talented, and their combat power is far superior to that of cultivators at the same level. But so far, there has not been even a single technique dedicated to cultivating the Xuanhuan in the upper realm, because the Xuanhuan is too illusory. Just like the destiny of heaven, although it exists, it cannot be seen or touched. Li Guanhai smiled with satisfaction. With these things, even if he does not have the status of the young master of the Yunwei Division, he can stand at the top of the upper realm one day. At this time, Li Ningxuang's cold but soft voice came from behind. Why is the master so happy? I am naturally happy because I have eliminated the big trouble. Li Guanhai replied with a smile, then turned to look at her and asked back, "Why are you so happy too?" Li Ningxuang's jade face still smiled lightly, and she said softly, "I am happy when the master is happy." Li Guanhai asked again, "Ningxuang, how long have you been with me?" Hearing this, Li Ningxuang said faintly, "Ningxuang watched the master being born." In other words, she was standing by and watching the moment Li Guanhai was born. "It has been 20 years so far." Li Guanhai was surprised and said, "You didn't deliver my baby, did you?" Li Ningxuang boldly rolled her eyes at him, "I'm not a midwife." Then she added, "But I held you. So you were thinking about me when I was just born?" "I didn't." Li Guanhai stayed in Bingchan Palace for another day and left the next day. When he left, Feng Yusheng led all the elders and disciples to see him off, and Lu Yulin, with the permission of her master, also followed Li Guanhai. Seeing that she was about to leave the sect where she had lived since she was a child, Lu Yulin was very sad. She kept crying and said goodbye to her master and the elders for a long time, then bent down and got into the chariot made of star sulfur jade. The golden road stretched out. The chariot flew away from the central square, rushed into the void along the golden avenue, rumbled over the sky, and headed south, arrived at the territory where the Yunwei Division was located, passed through several teleportation arrays, and finally arrived at the inner island. Stepping out of the chariot, Lu Yulin looked at the endless Xuanhuan palace, and couldn't help but open her mouth slightly, obviously shocked. This place is more than 10 times more magnificent than her Bingchan palace. She often heard that the Yunwei Division has unfathomable background and is an existence standing at the top of the upper world. Seeing it today, the rumors are indeed true. Li Guanhai took her back to the Xuanhuan where he lived. "From now on, you will live here. If you need anything or are not used to it, you must tell me." Lu Yulin nodded and said, "I know, thank you, Master Guanhai." "Don't call me master, just call me master." Li Guanhai smiled slightly and rubbed her head. Lu Yulin lowered his eyes and eyebrows and hummed softly. Behind a sacred pillar not far from them, several women watched this scene, their teeth almost broken. They were all followers of Li Guanhai, who were responsible for taking care of his daily life. Just like maids, when they heard that their master had returned, they came to greet him happily. As a result, they saw their master being intimate with a strange woman, and even took the initiative to touch the other's head. This made them very angry. They had served their master for so many years, and they had never even touched a finger of their master, let alone being touched on the head so gently. Where did this little vixen come from, and why did she throw herself into his arms as soon as she came? After letting Lu Yulin go back to rest, Li Guanhai was about to return to the temple. Suddenly, a stream of light swept over, and a man with a ghost mask on his face appeared in the air. He bowed his hands and said in a calm but respectful voice, "Young master, the head of the family and the elders asked you to come over." Li Guanhai asked, "What's the matter?" "Princess Xiahou is here." Chapter 22, What are you going to do? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Guanhai raised his eyebrows. "Princess Xiahou. Is she Xiahou Aoxue?" "Yes." "Okay, got it, I'll be there soon. My subordinates resign." The ghost-faced man's body gradually became blurred, and finally disappeared. This person is one of Li Yuan's confidants. He has been with him for thousands of years, and his cultivation is unfathomable. The ghost mask on his face has never been taken off, and no one knows what he looks like. Li Guanhai was thoughtful. Unexpectedly, Xiahou Aoxue would come. This woman has always had a cold temperament, as if nothing in the world can arouse her interest. Today she took the initiative to come looking for her, which was really unexpected. With this thought in his mind, Li Guanhai jumped up and turned into a stream of light rising from the ground, the main peak, in the magnificent palace. "Aoxue, Guanhai will be here soon, please sit down for a while." In the first seat, Li Yuan smiled and reassured. On the seat below, a woman wearing a plain white house skirt, with a tall and graceful figure and a temperament as cold as ice, sat quietly. She is graceful and luxurious, with a solemn air of her own. She is very beautiful, with 1 part heroic spirit and 1 part air conditioning. Her temperament is as cold as ice, and her indifference exudes a sense of indifference that makes people awe-inspiring and dare not look at her. Hearing this, she smiled and nodded without saying much. Li Yuan didn't care. He knew that his wife here was cold-tempered and never liked to talk. at this time, sitting next to Li Yuan. The old man in a python robe smiled and said, "Ha ha, Guanhai has arrived." This old man's name is Xiahou. He is the supreme emperor of the Xiahou Immortal dynasty and the grandfather of Xiahou Aoxue. As soon as he finished speaking, a stream of light swept into the palace. The light dissipated, revealing Li Guanhai's figure. He cupped his fists and saluted, as gentle as jade. "Guanhai has met his father and senior Xiahou." Xiahou said with a smile, "Ha ha ha, watch the sea, no need to be polite." He looked up and down, carefully looking at Li Guanhai, shaking his head and speechless. "Tsk, tsk, tsk, I remember the last time I saw Guanhai, he was still in the late stage of General Xian. In just less than a year, he has reached the peak of Commander Xian. With such a talent, he is truly worthy of the title of Fengshen." "4 words, Li Yuan laughed and said, "No, no, brother Xiahou has given me a reward." Although he said this, the proud smile on his face could not be concealed. Li Guanhai also said humbly, "It's really a fluke that Guanhai broke through to the peak of Xian Shui." Senior Xiahou was ridiculously praised. Hearing this, Xiahou couldn't help rolling his eyes. The father and son are more duplicitous than the other, and more thief than the other. Can we still have a good chat? At this time, Li Guanhai turned his head and looked to the side, where the beautiful woman looked like a jade sculpture. "Aoxue, long time no see." Xiahou Aoxue's charming and slender eyes narrowed, and then he smiled lightly, and his voice was like the sound of nature, exciting, "Long time no see." Li Yuan waved his hand and said, "Okay, you 2 young men go outside for a walk. Brother Xiahou and I still have something to discuss." Guanhai excuses himself. Li Guanhai took Xiahou Aoxue out of the palace and walked aimlessly. Walking through a quiet path, you come to a garden full of spring. "Aoxue, you should already know about the Tianshui ancient territory." Li Guanhai was the first to break the silence and asked. Xiahou Aoxue hummed, cherishing words like gold. Li Guanhai asked again, "Do you blame me?" Xiahou Aoxue stared at him, nodded, and then said, "It's no longer strange now." Li Guanhai smiled and said, "You are still considerate. Don't worry, you will definitely have a place in my concubine in the future." Hearing this, Xiahou Aoxue stopped and stared at him with dark eyes. Li Guanhai walked over and took her jade-like hand. "Just kidding, you will definitely be the first wife in the future, don't be angry." Xiahou Aoxue's face turned red. She lowered her head and was silent for a long time, and then said, "Actually, I came to you this time because I want to ask you for help with something." "What's up?" Seeing her serious expression, Li Guanhai knew that the matter was not simple, and he became curious. Xiahou Aoxue considered his words for a moment, and then asked, "The Yin Qi in Mingshan Jueme has loosened, you should know, right?" "No." Li Guanhai nodded without interrupting her and listened quietly as she explained the whole story. "It's a long story. More than 1,000 years ago, the Yin Qi of Mingshan Jueme was also loosened. At that time, an ancestor of the Xiahou Immortal dynasty took the opportunity to enter the Mingshan Jumai, hoping to find an opportunity, but he never came out after going in, and he probably died in it. When that ancestor entered Mingshan Juemian, he carried a treasure with him. This treasure was extremely important and even related to the rise and fall of the Xiahou Immortal dynasty. For thousands of years, the Xiahou Immortal dynasty has continuously tried to enter the Mingshan mountains to find the treasure, but they have never succeeded." Xiahou Aoxue bit her lower lip and said softly, "I heard that you have a protective magic weapon that can isolate all magic circles and taboos, so." She didn't say anything further, but the meaning was already very obvious. She came to borrow the treasure. Hearing this, Li Guanhai smiled slightly, took off a jade pendant from his waist that emitted divine light and was engraved with 2 swimming fish, and handed it over. Xiahou Aoxue was stunned. She didn't expect that Li Guanhai would agree so readily and gave the pair of fishes to her without even thinking about it. "This is a Pisces pendant. Wearing it with you has the miraculous effect of harmonizing the dragon and the tiger, and overcoming obstacles. It can also speed up internal cultivation, avoid death and prolong life, and make the wearer's state of mind clear and prevent him from going crazy, and it can ignore any magic circle barrier, even the laws of heaven and earth. In addition, there is also an extremely heaven-defying effect, that is, Once the wearer dies, his soul will be sucked into the Pisces pendant and reborn. Through the jade, it can be said that having this jade pendant is equivalent to gaining an extra life, and its effect goes far beyond that. It is no exaggeration to say that this Pisces pendant is a top auxiliary treasure, something that can cause a bloody storm in the upper world, but even so, he still gave it to himself without hesitation. Thinking of this, Xiahou Aoxue was both happy and moved. She pursed her red lips and said softly, "Thank you, I'll return it to you after I'm done." Li Guanhai took her cold hand and placed the Pisces pendant in her palm. "Between you and me, there is no need to talk about this." Xiahou Aoxue lowered her eyes and eyebrows. Although she tried her best to stay calm, her delicate ears turned red. Li Guanhai reminded, although this object can isolate the yin qi from the Ming Mountain Ju vein, the extent is limited. Don't be impatient and wait for a while. Yeah, remember. Xiahou Aoxue nodded lightly. She just stood there, as if she were the most beautiful scenery in the world. She really had ice-cold muscles and jade bones, and was as beautiful as a fairy. Li Guanhai stared at her and subconsciously reached out to touch her beautiful face. Xiahou Aoxue was slightly startled and took a step back to avoid it. Just when Li Guanhai was puzzled, he suddenly heard her say in a very small voice, "Wait a minute, there is someone." Looking back, through the shadows of the trees, I saw two maids walking past in the distance, and disappeared from sight after a while. At the same time, Li Guanhai felt a faint fragrance penetrate the tip of his nose, and a soft and delicate body came closer. Immediately afterwards, a melodious voice sounded softly. "What are you going to do?" Chapter 23, New Leeks Appear. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Now that the conversation has come to this, even a fool would know what to do. Li Guanhai embraced her in his arms, the two looked into each other's eyes, and their feelings gradually deepened. Everything that followed was a natural outcome. After a period of tenderness, Xiahou Aoxue panted softly, her eyes were misty and her face was red. The graceful and dignified iceberg beauty with the majesty of an empress, now showed the look of a little girl, which was really fascinating. Li Guanhai took her hand and walked in the direction they came from, saying, "I really don't trust you to go alone in danger. Let me know when you leave, and I will go with you." Xiahou Aoxue was silent for a while, and shook her head. "No, this is the business of my Xiahou Xian dynasty, and I can't let you get involved." As soon as he finished speaking, Li Guanhai flicked her smooth forehead with his fingers. "Ouch!" Xiahou Aoxue cried softly, shrank her head, and felt a little wronged. Li Guanhai smiled faintly. "How can we be implicated?" Hearing this, Xiahou Aoxue's heart trembled slightly, and she leaned gently into his arms. "I know." The two walked and talked, and soon returned to the main peak temple. Seeing them coming back, Xiahou laughed loudly. "Haha, I thought you two would talk until tomorrow morning." Li Guanhai and Xiahou Aoxue looked at each other, and smiled without saying anything. "Okay." Xiahou stood up and bowed to Li Yuan, who also stood up, saying, "Since they have finished talking, I will leave first." "Okay, I will see you off." Li Yuan accompanied Xiahou out of the palace and sent them off. Looking at Xiahou Aoxue, who disappeared in the teleportation array, Li Guanhai was thoughtful. "I didn't expect that Xiahou Aoxue was also a girl of luck, and her luck value was ridiculously high, breaking 10,000. The degree of her luck was purple, or dark purple. The reason why Li Guanhai gave her the Pisces pendant so straightforwardly was to improve her favorability. When the system is upgraded and combined the second genius, he will immediately tie her to his pirate ship. What does it mean to be a lucky girl with a basic luck value of over 10,000? What does this mean? It is no exaggeration to say that when she grows up, she will definitely be an invincible existence that sweeps across the upper realm. In addition, the Xiahou Immortal dynasty behind her is also a force standing at the top of the upper realm, and the future of the Xiahou Immortal dynasty will be controlled by Xiahou Aoxue. How can such a person not be used by me? Thinking of this, Li Guanhai raised the corners of his mouth. He felt that the future was bright. Seeing him smiling, Li Yuan at the side asked, "Guanhai, what makes you so happy?" "Nothing." Li Guanhai shook his head, then asked, "What did father say to Senior Xiahou?" "What else can I say? Of course it's about you and Aoxue." Li Yuan put his hands behind his back, turned around and walked into the palace, and asked casually, "Did you give the Pisces pendant to that girl?" "Yes." Li Guanhai nodded, his expression calm. "Well, you did the right thing." Li Yuan showed a satisfied look on his face, and said, "Aoxue is talented and capable. In less than 2 years, she defeated a group of royal sisters and brothers and got the position of crown prince. It's really not simple." "Yes." Li Guanhai remained calm on the surface, but he was secretly thinking in his heart, "A lucky girl with a luck value of over 10,000 is certainly not simple. In the future, she will be a big figure who holds great power and sweeps the upper world. The edge she has shown now is just the tip of the iceberg." Li Yuan raised his hand and gently placed it on Li Guanhai's shoulder, saying, "Your mother misses you very much, so she asked you to go there in the next 2 days." "I know, father." Li Guanhai left the main peak and returned to his palace. Just as he sat down, Li Ningshuang appeared like a ghost, and said faintly, "Master, the double fish pendant is not easy to come by. Why did you lend it to His Highness Aoxue so easily?" Li Guanhai smiled bitterly. "Are you jealous again?" "I'm not." Li Ningshuang denied it, and then said, "It's just that the double fish pendant is of great importance and cannot be lost." "Don't worry, I know my limits." Li Guanhai smiled faintly, as if he didn't take this matter very seriously. At this time, Li Ningshuang suddenly bowed and saluted, "Master, Ningshuang was offended just now, please punish me." "So your purpose is to let me punish you?" Li Guanhai stared at her with an ambiguous expression, smiling. Li Ningshuang was stunned, and then her pretty face flushed. "Master, you..." She blushed and couldn't say anything more, so she fled. Li Guanhai was smiling and in a good mood, as expected. The ice beauty is the cutest when she is shy. The next day, Li Guanhai left the Yunwei Division with a group of followers and went to Daoxian Tiangong. "I haven't seen my mother for a long time, and I really miss her. This time, I can not only visit my mother, but also see how the lucky girl is doing, and let my mother take care of her." His mother, Xuanhuan, is the current master of Daoxian Tiangong. She has been in power for hundreds of years and has great power, and Daoxian Tiangong is also a peak existence in the upper world. From this, we can see how noble Li Guanhai's status is. Yunwei Division, Xiahou Xianchao, and Daoxian Tiangong are all top forces. With the support of these 3 behemoths, Li Guanhai's life is destined to be extraordinary. Daoxian Tiangong is far away from Yunwei Division. It took Li Guanhai 3 full days to enter the sphere of influence of Daoxian Tiangong. There are countless sacred mountains and islands here. Fairy mists linger, and colorful lights flow. A rainbow formed by rays of rosy cloud spans the sky, like an oil painting, beautiful and gorgeous. In the clouds, many Daoxian Tiangong disciples who turned into divine rainbows came and went. Each of them was celestial, with extraordinary appearance, just like people in the fairy world. At this time, the clouds in the distance parted, and more than 20 terrifying figures came with an extremely magnificent chariot, a black-bottomed silver dragon. Flag was flying on the chariot, with the word cloud written on it. When the Daoxian Tiangong disciples in the clouds saw the chariot, their faces changed drastically, and they all avoided it from a distance. They watched the chariot speeding by, with respect and admiration in their eyes. That person has arrived. The chariot passed through several teleportation arrays, crossed the outer gate, entered the inner gate, and finally landed in front of an extremely magnificent palace. There were already several people waiting here. A group of Qingxi guards and Li Guanhai's followers jumped off their mounts and bowed to meet the mistress. At the same time, the curtain of the carriage was lifted. Li Guanhai, dressed in green, walked out. His face changed slightly, and then returned to normal. Looking at the middle-aged beautiful woman not far away, Li Guanhai smiled and called, "Mother." His tone was extremely gentle, as if full of longing. The middle-aged beautiful woman surrounded by several elders walked quickly and hugged Li Guanhai into her arms. You came to see me after such a long time. Have you forgotten your mother?" Listening to his mother's reproach, Li Guanhai smiled and said, "I have been busy with too many things during this period, and I have not been able to visit my mother. It is Guanhai's fault. It's good that you know you are wrong. Stay a few more days this time, otherwise I won't let you go." Xuanhuan said in an imperative tone. Li Guanhai smiled and nodded, "I will listen to my mother." At this time, an old woman came over and whispered, "Palace Master, the time is up, and the disciples are still waiting." Hearing this, Xuanhuan remembered that there were things that had not been done, and hurriedly said, "Guanhai, there are many outstanding Tianjiao in this sect martial arts competition, and there are 2 rising stars. I am going to reward them. Can you come with me?" Li Guanhai smiled. "Oh, as expected, the new Son of Destiny has appeared." Chapter 24, Qualified Tool Man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, it just so happens that I can also see the style of the young talent of Daoxian Tiangong. Li Guanhai said with a smile. Hearing this, all the elders beside Xuanhuan all smiled bitterly. Who doesn't know that you, young Master Guanhai, are qualified to become gods? In front of you, I, the genius of Daoxian Tiangong, are no different from gravel. Let's go, don't keep the kids waiting. Xuanhuan smiled slightly, took his hand, turned it into a divine rainbow, and swept towards one of the sacred mountains. At the same time, in a temple made of glass and jade, a dozen young men and women with strong auras stood on both sides of the hall. Everyone's expressions were reserved and respectful, but more importantly, they were still excited and expecting. These people are all young geniuses who have performed outstandingly and stood out in this Daoxian Tiangong sect martial arts competition. According to the rules, they will soon be rewarded with an audience with the Palace Master. That's why they are so excited. But among these young geniuses, there are 2 outliers. They seemed quite calm and not particularly excited or agitated. These 2 people, a man and a woman, stood at the front of 2 rows of geniuses. The man is thin and has a delicate face. He naturally exudes an aura that cannot be ignored. The women are so gorgeous that they captivate the whole country. Although she only wore a simple white dress, she was so gorgeous that she overshadowed all the women in the world. If Li Guanhai were here, he would definitely recognize this woman at a glance. She was none other than Lin Luoying, the eldest daughter of the Lin family who had been forced into marriage. The disciples were waiting in the temple with great expectations, but they still didn't see the Palace Master showing up. They felt a little anxious and couldn't help but whisper in a low voice. "Hey, why isn't the Palace Master here yet? Is there something delayed? I heard that there seems to be a noble person coming." The palace owner should have gone to meet the noble person. While everyone was talking in low voices, the young man with a delicate face at the front of the team spoke to the beautiful woman not far away. "Luoying, who do you think the distinguished guest is?" Hearing this, Lin Luoying shook her head and said lightly, "I don't know." The young man named Xuanhuan had long been accustomed to her cold attitude. Ever since they met, she has always had this cold look, as if she has no interest in anyone or anything. But the more she behaved like this, the more fascinated Xuanhuan became, and the stronger the desire to conquer became in her heart. Only when you conquer such an iceberg beauty can you feel a sense of accomplishment. Lin Luoying, I must get you and make you my woman. Xuanhuan secretly swore in his heart, and then showed an extremely confident smile on his face. Ever since he obtained the secret treasure, his life trajectory has undergone earth-shaking changes, and he has embarked on a path that he never dared to imagine before. He was confident that with that secret treasure, given time, he would be able to reach the top and look down on the heroes. Any arrogant saint must bow his head and surrender to himself. However, at this moment, several terrifying waves came from behind the geniuses. They looked back and saw several divine rainbows passing through the palace, passing over their heads, and landing on the jade platform in front of them. As soon as these people appeared, everyone present tensed up and stood in awe. These are all high-level officials of Daoxian Tiangong. Even the palace master is here, and they dare not relax at all. And beside the palace master, there was a strange man in white standing. This man's facial features and temperament are truly astonishing and cannot be described in words. He is similar in age to the young prodigies present, but his aura is completely different. No matter how extraordinary the talents are, they are just his background foil. Many women present were mesmerized, their eyes fixed on the man standing on the jade platform, their eyes full of obsession and longing. Xuanhuan saw the expressions of these women in his eyes, and whether it was disdain or jealousy, he snorted imperceptibly. A group of superficial, shallow and vulgar people who usually look aloof and cold, but their true colors are revealed when they see a powerful man. really useless, a true goddess should be like my Luoying, as cold as ice, viewing the prosperity of the world as floating clouds. Thinking of this, Xuanhuan couldn't help but show a proud smile on her face that he turned around to look, but his smile froze. The iceberg goddess, who was supposed to be unmoved and indifferent, now lost her composure and looked shocked. Her eyes were full of waves, staring closely at the figure in white on the jade platform, with a sense of longing. That expression was both unexpected and surprising. What's going on? What does her look like? Xuanhuan was shocked and angry. She looked at Lin Luoying and then at the man in white on the jade platform. Do they know each other? Just when he was guessing like this, the man in white's plain but soft voice rang out. Luoying, we meet again. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of all the elders and geniuses present fell on that beautiful woman. Only Xuanhuan looked calm and not surprised. When she saw the introduction order, she knew who had introduced this woman. Luoying has met the young master. Lin Luoying took a step forward, bowed and saluted. With a clear voice, it can be seen that she is very nervous and anxious now. Next to him, Xuanhuan's face had turned completely dark. These two people must know each other. Damn, when did this happen? Who is that man in white? What is the relationship between him and Luoying? Several questions weighed on Xuanhuan's mind, making him anxious and uneasy. At this time, Li Guanhai, who was dressed in white, suddenly smiled and said on the jade platform, this disciple has a strong aura and a very solid foundation. He is a talent that can be cultivated. Hearing this, Xuanhuan subconsciously raised his head, but he happened to meet Li Guanhai's eyes, which were smiling on the surface but cold and icy in reality. He was startled in his heart. He felt a great pressure coming upon him, which was extremely sacred and vast, as if it was the power of heaven. In front of this power, he was like a small boat in the raging waves, drifting with the current, and could be swallowed up at any time. Report to Master Guanhai, this disciple is called Xuanhuan. He was originally just an outer sect disciple, but later he suddenly became enlightened and his cultivation level increased dramatically. This time he defeated all the heroes in the sect martial arts competition and tied with Luoying, winning the first place. A hunched old woman with white hair introduced. Oh, Li Guanhai raised his eyebrows and smiled with interest. It seems that this disciple has had a lot of adventures. He is a person favored by God. He seemed gentle and calm on the surface, but he had already started to plan how to deal with this son of luck. This son of luck is very fat, with a total of 4,500 points of luck value, and the luck level has reached light purple, and this time the system gave a new prompt. It is detected that the son of luck has a great opportunity, and the plot has not yet started. Li Guanhai was thoughtful. It seems that as long as you stare at Xuanhuan, you can get an opportunity, and it is a great opportunity. In this case, let's not rush to deal with him. Let him jump around for a while and become a qualified treasure hunter. Chapter 25, Evil Thought Clone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xuanhuan's mind raced. He didn't understand what he meant by that. Although he didn't understand, he always felt that the man in white looked at him in a strange way. It was as if he was looking at something very interesting, with a hint of amusement. This look made him very uncomfortable, and he felt as if he was being seen through. Next, Xuanhuan not only rewarded all the geniuses, but also set up a banquet to reward them. Xuanhuan also took advantage of it and had a meal. Then Xuanhuan asked all the geniuses to leave and took Li Guanhai back to the palace. The mother and son hadn't seen each other for a long time, and she had a lot to say. They chatted from noon to dusk before they left the palace. Xuanhuan looked her son up and down, nodded and smiled. At the age of 20, he has reached the peak of Xuanhuan. He is worthy of being my child. Looking at your aura, you should be not far from breaking through Xuanhuan, right? Li Guanhai nodded. Well, these 2 days I feel that the shackles of breaking through Xuanhuan have loosened a little. I only need an opportunity to take that step. In the path of cultivation, it is important to make progress step by step. The most taboo is to achieve it all at once. You must not be impatient. Xuanhuan reminded. Don't worry, mother, I know. Li Guanhai nodded, and then asked, Mother, what do you think of Lin Luoying's talent? Hearing this, Xuanhuan didn't think about it, and directly commented, he is extremely talented, a dragon among people, and will become a great man in the future. Then she smiled again. This time, thanks to you, you sent such a good seedling to Daoxuanshan Palace for me. When Lin Luoying came, he showed the recommendation order. When Xuanhuan saw the token, she knew that this was Li Guanhai's intention, so she accepted her. In her opinion, her son must have seen Lin Luoying's talent, so he recommended her to join Daoxian Tiangong. Thinking of this, Xuanhuan looked at her son with more doting eyes. At this time, Li Guanhai asked again, "Mother, what do you think of the talent of the disciple named Su Ran?" Xuanhuan didn't know why he asked these questions, but still answered, "He is a late bloomer with extraordinary comprehension. He is a rare genius." After listening to her evaluation of Su Ran, Li Guanhai smiled slightly, whispered a few words in her ear. Xuanhuan's expression has never changed from beginning to end. After listening to Li Guanhai's words, she nodded without hesitation and said, "I know, just go ahead and do it." Li Guanhai asked with a smile, "Mother, he is the Tianjiao of your Daoxian Tiangong, are you willing to let him go?" Hearing this, Xuanhuan rolled her eyes at him and said unhappily, "You are my son, how can a mother not be on her son's side?" Then, she changed the subject and her tone became cold and indifferent. "He is just a Tianjiao. If he is gone, there will be thousands and thousands of others. It's nothing to say. This momentum is worthy of being the person in power of Daoxian Tiangong." Although Xuanhuan is now a married woman who misses her son and her husband, but when she was young, she was also an extremely bright star. Not only is she beautiful, but her talent is also invincible among her peers. She is a celebrity of that era. The mother and son chatted for a few more words and then separated. Li Guanhai came to rest in the palace that Xuanhuan carefully prepared for him. He opened the system mall and browsed through all kinds of strange items. In the end, he spent 2,000 points and bought 2 boundary-breaking talismans. Boundary-breaking talismans can be activated when a cultivator is in danger of life, tearing the space and escaping far away, and the activation time is very short, almost instantly tearing the space. It is a life-saving trump card. There are many interesting things in the points mall, but Li Guanhai does not have enough points to exchange. Originally, after getting rid of the 3 Sons of Luck, he also saved a lot of points. As a result, when he was in Bingchan Palace, in order to treat Feng Yusheng, Li Guanhai almost emptied his family's assets and exchanged for Xuanhuan Mother Qi. It must be said that this thing is indeed a treasure that turns decay into magic, but it is too expensive. Originally, a mere Bingchan Palace master was not worth his trouble. But this Feng Yusheng is a little unusual. Her luck value has been increasing, and her luck color is also changing, so Li Guanhai guessed that Feng Yusheng was probably also a girl of luck, but the time had not come yet and she had not revealed herself. He decided to take a gamble, so he reluctantly exchanged the Xuanhuan Mother energy for her. This move would definitely make her grateful. When she grows up to be a girl of luck in the future, it will be easy to bind the bondage line. And the 2 boundary-breaking talismans exchanged by Li Guanhai this time were still not for himself, but for others. He closed the system interface and his mind moved thousands of evil thoughts. The next moment, a faint light flashed between his eyebrows. A little man who looked exactly like him walked out, landed in front of the throne, and quickly enlarged. Finally, a man in white clothes, like a god, appeared in front of the throne. He had a faint smile on his face, his eyes were cold and indifferent, and his bones were cold that people dared not yearn for. Li Guanhai stood up and walked around the evil thought clone. They are exactly the same. In the final analysis, this clone is just a divine thought of Li Guanhai. The 2 have the same origin and mind, just like one person, unless they are sleeping together, or fighting with a strong enemy. Otherwise, it is impossible to find any flaws, because they are the same person. Go. As Li Guanhai's faint voice sounded, the clone turned into a stream of light and swept out of the palace. The Daoxian Palace at night has a different kind of beauty, the galaxy hanging upside down in the sky, from west to east, across the sky. It is particularly bright and charming in the dark night. It is really brilliant and dreamlike. On an independent mountain, Lin Luoying was sitting on the futon in the palace to practice. This futon is not an ordinary futon, but a precious magic weapon. When a monk sits on this futon to practice, it can not only accelerate the absorption of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but also clear the mind and not be disturbed by the inner demon. But tonight, Lin Luoying couldn't calm down. because she saw the man who changed her life again. After the banquet, Lin Luoying wanted to go over and talk to him, but in the end, she gave up, because the palace master took him away. But at least I know his name, Xuanhuan. Well, this name is really nice. Lin Luoying always felt that this name sounded familiar, as if she had heard it somewhere before, but she couldn't remember it for a while. At this moment, she suddenly opened her eyes. Her eyes were extremely sharp. Who is it? Clang. The cold sword was unsheathed, and the green light shone through. The two heavy palace doors burst open, 3 sharp sword energies slashed out, bang bang bang. The sword energy exploded and scattered into light spots all over the sky. A figure in white, covered with moonlight, walked out of the scattered light spots. Lin Luoying stared blankly, muttering, Master. Master? Chapter 26, I want you to help me keep an eye on someone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The man was Li Guanhai. He was dressed in white and stood in the moonlight. He was covered with a layer of silver light, and with his stunning eyebrows, he looked like a fairy. Lin Luoying quickly stood up, greeted him, and hurriedly bowed to apologize. Luoying didn't know that the young master was here, and she bumped into the young master rashly. Please forgive me. Get up quickly. Li Guanhai smiled slightly, helped her up, and said, even in the sect, you can't let your guard down. You did a good job. Feeling the warmth from his palm, Lin Luoying's jade cheeks blushed slightly, and she didn't struggle, but bowed her head and said nothing. Li Guanhai seemed to realize it, and hurriedly let go of his hand, and whispered, I'm offended. It's okay, young master, you're polite. Lin Luoying shook her head, then took Li Guanhai into the bedroom, personally poured tea for him, and served him fresh fruits and cakes. Finally, she saw the person she missed day and night, and she was nervous and happy. It turns out that the young master has been paying attention to me. He can't spare time to talk to me during the day, so he comes here at night. Thinking of this, Lin Luoying felt even sweeter and happier. Li Guanhai looked at the girl of destiny who was uneasy in front of him, and couldn't help but asked with a smile, Luoying, what's wrong with you? No. Nothing, I just didn't expect the young master to come here late at night, which was a bit unexpected. Lin Luoying hurriedly explained. Li Guanhai drank a cup of tea, and the smile on his face faded, becoming solemn and serious. Luoying, in fact, I came here late at night. In addition to reminiscing with you, there is also an important matter that I want to ask you for help. Lin Luoying saw his cautious expression and knew that this matter was not trivial. Young master, please tell me, no matter what it is. Luoying will definitely help you with all her strength. In fact, she has always wanted to find an opportunity to repay Li Guanhai, but unfortunately she has never had the chance. Today the opportunity finally came. Of course she will not miss it. I want you to help me keep an eye on someone. Who? Xuanhuan. Lin Luoying was shocked. She never expected that the person the young master asked her to keep an eye on would be Xuanhuan. She was silent for a while and whispered, Young master, can Luoying ask why? Li Guanhai said without hesitation, because I suspect he has the inheritance of the demon clan. What? The inheritance of the demon clan? Lin Luoying exclaimed, her beautiful eyes widened, and she was a little bit unbelievable. Although she was born in an insignificant small family, she also knew what the inheritance of the demon clan meant. That's a taboo. Once discovered, it is a taboo that everyone in the world will be enemies of. The final holy war when the world was first created. The shadow of fear left by the demon clan on all living beings, still lingers in the hearts of all living beings. Just thinking about it makes people shudder, so all sects and forces in the upper world, whether good or evil, have zero tolerance for demon cultivators, especially demon cultivators with the inheritance of the demon clan. Once discovered, they must be killed, even if it means crossing 3,000 Dao realms. It is worth it. Lin Luoying could never have imagined that there was a demon cultivator lurking around her. And he was in Daoxian Tiangong, a top-notch cultivation holy land. This is simply too terrifying. Lin Luoying did not doubt what Li Guanhai said, because Xuanhuan's sudden rise was indeed too weird. How did he go from a humble outer sect errand disciple to defeat a group of powerful enemies in just a few months, enter the inner sect, and win the championship in this sect martial arts competition? It felt a little incredible at the time. now that Li Guanhai has revealed his identity, all the problems can be explained. However, Lin Luoying still has a question in her heart. Su Ran has been lurking in Daoxian Tiangong for so long, and none of the elders can see anything unusual about him. Why did the young master confirm Su Ran's identity as a demon cultivator when he first met him? Li Guanhai seemed to see through her thoughts and asked with a smile, "Do you know Yunwei Division?" Lin Luoying nodded, "Yes." "Just kidding, Yunwei Division is powerful in the upper realm, who doesn't know it?" Suddenly, Lin Luoying seemed to remember something and trembled. "Guanhai? Yunwei Division? Could it be?" Her beautiful eyes widened, looking at the man in front of her who was as gentle as jade in disbelief. She really didn't dare to connect the rumored Guanhai master with the person in front of her, because the difference was too big. The rumored Li Guanhai was vigorous and resolute, cruel, without any warmth in his heart, and was a cold-blooded person who made people respect and fear, but in her impression, he was a gentle and magnanimous gentleman. What was going on? Could it be that the rumor was wrong? Or were those villains jealous of Master Guanhai, so they slandered maliciously? Many questions lingered in her mind, but what is certain is that the young master that she misses day and night is indeed the young master of the Yunwei Division, Li Guanhai, who is feared by the upper world. She didn't expect that the person who passed by the small town and rescued her from the fire pit would have such a terrifying identity. Lin Luoying pursed her red lips tightly, and for some reason, she felt a little lost in her heart. The gap between her and his status is too big. It's like the difference between heaven and earth, like clouds and mud. Lin Luoying quickly suppressed the chaotic emotions in her heart. There is still business to be done. Mr. Guanhai. Oh no, young master, I understand, I will monitor Su Ran for you. There was a little bit of embarrassment in her tone, not very natural. Thank you. Li Guanhai smiled slightly and said, "We are friends. You are different from others. You don't have to be so reserved. Just call me young master." Hearing the word friend, Lin Luoying was delighted and smiled. He regarded himself as a friend? He said he was different from others. She was just thinking about it when she saw Li Guanhai handing over 2 pieces of talisman paper with magical Taoist talismans. "Young master, what is this?" Lin Luoying reached out to take it and felt the Taoist rhyme flowing on it. "It was not an ordinary thing," Li Guanhai explained softly, "these are 2 boundary-breaking talismans. You stay with Su Ran and may encounter danger at any time. Once you feel that the situation is not good, immediately activate this talisman to tear the space and help you escape." "Ah! It can tear the space to escape? Young master, this boundary-breaking talisman is too valuable. I can't accept it." As he said, Lin Luoying was about to hand the boundary-breaking talisman back. Li Guanhai held her hand and said, "The horror of the demon cultivator is far beyond your imagination. Once he wants to kill you, how can you get away? So you keep this talisman. Remember, don't put yourself in danger. It is important to eradicate the demon cultivator, but I don't want you to get into trouble." Hearing this, Lin Luoying's heart trembled, and she hummed lightly and took the boundary-breaking talisman. "Okay, you take a rest, I won't disturb you." Li Guanhai stood up and left gracefully. Lin Luoying chased out of the palace, looking at the divine rainbow that swept towards the main peak. She pursed her red lips and looked dim. At this moment, she was still thinking about what Li Guanhai had just said. Is she really different from others in his heart? Chapter 27, The Dark Mountain is cut off, and the wind and clouds gather. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For the next half-month, Li Guanhai stayed in Daoxian Tiangong and did not leave. When he was free, he would go to Xuanhuan to chat. Occasionally, he would go to the mountain where the disciples practiced. Every time he showed up, he always caused a big sensation. After all, he was the young master of the Yunwei Division who was famous in the upper world. Wherever he went, he was the most dazzling and eye-catching one. In addition, his cultivation was terrifying and his fairy-like appearance was elegant. All the female disciples would have their eyes shining and their faces showing obsession and yearning when they saw him. Although the male disciples felt sour in their hearts, they could do nothing about it. He was the young master of Guanhai. Regardless of his status, position, or talent and style, he was an existence standing at the top of the upper world. How could he compare? And Xuanhuan has become more restrained during this period, and no longer shows his edge like before. Every time he met Li Guanhai, he would avoid him without a trace, not wanting to get too close to him, because the oppression Li Guanhai gave him was too strong. Xuanhuan felt a breathless feeling in front of him, and he always felt that the young master of Yunwei Division had bad intentions towards him, so it was better to stay away from him. But what made Xuanhuan so angry was that Lin Luoying often walked with Li Guanhai, chatting and laughing, just like a close friend. The cold goddess in his heart was so close to other men, talking and laughing. Only Xuanhuan himself could understand the pain and taste of this. It was really bitter and sour, jealous and hateful, but he had no choice but to sigh and curse Li Guanhai for not being a martial artist. Humph, what about the young master of Yunwei Division? I am the chosen one, blessed by God, and I will reach the top one day. At that time, no matter what young master you are, you have to surrender to me. 3 days later, a piece of news shocked the upper world. The Yin Qi of Mingshan Jumai has weakened to the weakest level in 1,000 years. All the major sects are paying attention to this matter, and they have sent many strong men and young people from the clan to Mingshan Jumai to check the situation. Mingshan Jumai is equivalent to the Great Wall of the upper world. It spans the entire upper world, cutting it in half and dividing it into north and south, and Yunwei is located to the north of Mingshan Jumai. Although Mingshan Jumai is a place where one is in danger of death, it is also a treasure land with countless adventures. There are countless ancient relics, skills, treasures, magical powers, immortal herbs and medicines, and great inheritance buried in it. So as long as there is a chance to enter it and find out, I believe that no sect will remain indifferent, because if you get something good, it is very likely that the entire sect will soar to the sky and its status in the upper world will be reversed unimaginably. In the face of such temptation, what is a little danger? Li Guanhai also has an inexplicable obsession and yearning for Mingshan Jumai. There is a voice in his heart, calling him to Mingshan Jumai. There, something that belongs only to him is sleeping, waiting for him to wake it up. As for what it is, Li Guanhai doesn't know, but he has never given up the idea of entering Mingshan Jumai, so for so many years, he has been paying attention to the various changes in Mingshan Jumai. Now the time has finally come, and he is also a little excited and expectant in his heart. What is the thing that calls him? What is the connection between it and himself? Or is it related to his previous life? At this moment, Li Ningxuang appeared in the palace. Master, Princess Aoxue sent a letter saying that she has set off for Mingshan Jumai. Okay, I know. Li Guanhai stood up from the throne, looked at the fairy mountain and island outside the palace, and said, then we should set off too. Before leaving, Li Guanhai went to say hello to Xuanhuan. As they were about to separate, Xuanhuan held her son's hand, reluctant to let him go, but more worried. Guanhai, Mingshan Jumai is full of dangers. You must be careful and cautious. Don't be careless and force yourself. If the situation is not good, evacuate immediately. Do you understand? Don't worry, mother, I will pay attention. Li Guanhai left the palace and came to the central square with a group of Qingqi guards and followers. I just heard from Xuanhuan that Daoxian Tiangong would also send some strong men and young Tianjiao to Mingshan Jumai, one to explore the news, and the other to take the opportunity to train these young people, and Lin Luoying and Xuanhuan were naturally in the team going to Mingshan Jumai this time. Li Guanhai was thinking in his heart. It seems that the opportunity of Xuanhuan, the son of destiny, is in Mingshan Jumai. This is a coincidence. When I finish my own business, I can also snatch his opportunity and solve him together. Then the system should be able to upgrade, and I can also bind the second Tianjiao. Thinking of this, Li Guanhai couldn't help but smile. The charm he showed instantly made many female disciples around him feel excited and fascinated. This time, the disciples and elders of Daoxian Tiangong traveled on a divine ship. The divine ship has an area of dozens of miles, with pavilions and towers, just like a small city. Li Guanhai was too lazy to take any more carriages, so he led everyone to board the ship and took a ride. The divine ship that covered the sky and the sun rushed into the sky, broke through the clouds and fog, and rushed to the south. This time, the Mingshan Jumai event attracted countless cultivators to go there. Many top prodigies from the upper world will also show up, for example, Jianzi from Beiwu Sword Palace, Tianqing Saint from Ganyong City, Wu Gui Fairy from Baikan Palace, etc. All of them are top prodigies from the upper world today, and peerless geniuses who are famous in one area. No one knows what kind of sparks will collide at this meeting. Daoxian Tian Palace is hundreds of thousands of miles away from Mingshan Jumai. Although the speed of the divine ship is fast and there is a teleportation array in the middle, it still takes 2 days and 2 nights to arrive. The night before arriving at Mingshan Jumai, Lin Luoying, who was wearing a plain skirt, found Li Guanhai. The two discussed the details of the plan and how to deal with various emergencies. The next morning, the divine ship stopped in the clouds. Li Guanhai walked out of the palace and looked around. Thousands of miles away, there was a mountain range that stretched across the sky, like a wall supporting the sky and the earth, covering the sky and the sun. This is the dark mountain that makes all cultivators tremble with fear. The mountain range is purple-black, and waves of yin qi spread out. Even sunlight will be swallowed up when it touches the yin qi. The yin qi floats into the clouds, and it seems that even the sky is corroded and becomes dim. The closer you get to the dark mountain, the more gloomy and dark the surrounding environment becomes, and there is an indescribable feeling of suffocation in your heart. Even the strong ones with high cultivation can't help but frown and feel a little uncomfortable. Li Guanhai stood at the bow of the ship with his white clothes fluttering. At this moment, the desire in his heart became stronger. Chapter 28, Xiahou Aoxue's Possessiveness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, thousands of miles away from Mingshan Mountain, countless monks have gathered. There are casual cultivators and sect disciples. It can be said that there is a mixed bag of good and bad. All the monks are paying attention to the changes in Mingshan Jumai. At this moment, there was a shadow above the sky. The monks looked up and saw a divine ship that covered the sky and sun slowly descending, extremely majestic. Looking at the flag flying in the wind on the mast, all the monks recognized it as the divine ship of Daoxian Tiangong. Many casual cultivators sighed in their hearts. This is how the top forces in the upper world appear. It's so majestic. The divine ship landed and stopped at a height of 50 meters above the ground, suspended in midair like a hill. At this time, many sharp-eyed monks saw the figure in white standing on the bow of the ship and couldn't help but change their colors in horror. Oh, it seems that young Master Guanhai is also on the boat. That I don't know who screamed. At this moment, countless monks were looking up at the divine ship, wanting to catch a glimpse of young Master Guanhai. For a time, the news of Li Guanhai's arrival spread from one person to another, and finally everyone knew about it. At the same time, several young men with terrifying auras in the camps of several sectarian forces were also watching the divine ship in midair. They all sent out their spiritual thoughts in unison, wanting to get a closer look, but as soon as their spiritual thoughts came into contact with the divine ship, they were distorted by a strange force, making it impossible to peer into it. A tall, handsome young man wearing a brown robe withdrew his thoughts and showed an interesting smile on his face. Li Guanhai. Ha, interesting. This man's name is Bailey Lian, and he is born with extraordinary bones. He is the most outstanding talent in Xianyong City in the contemporary era, and is known as a born saint. He is brave and warlike by nature, and loves to fight against those who are stronger than himself, and every time, the weak can unexpectedly defeat the strong. With extremely rich practical experience and high cultivation level, it can be said that the younger generation has few enemies. The purpose of Bailey Lian's visit this time was not only to explore the dead veins of Mingshan Mountain, but also had a small thought. It is to take this opportunity to challenge the top talents of the major divine religions and immortal sects, in order to build momentum for oneself. Among all the geniuses who are as famous as him, the one he most wants to fight is Li Guanhai. This young master of Guanhai is famous for being high in the clouds and is said to have the status of a god. If you can defeat him in public, your reputation will definitely soar rapidly. When the time comes, the entire upper world will feel reverent when they hear his name. Thinking of this, Bailey Lian's eyes became more and more fanatical, and he wished he could rush onto the divine ship right now and fight Li Guanhai. But he knew that if he did this, he would be the one who suffered. On the other side, a young man wearing a blue gown, with a handsome face and a bohemian temperament also withdrew his spiritual thoughts. His eyes were long and narrow, and there seemed to be a sharp sword light emerging from them. This person is none other than Xia Tianjun, the sword master of the Beiwu sword domain, the holy land of sword cultivators, the leader of contemporary swordsmanship, and known as the reincarnation of the sword demon. He is a dazzling star in Beiwu sword domain. He practiced swordplay at the age of 7 and achieved success in 6 years. He understood the meaning of the sword at the age of 14 and became invincible in the art of swordsmanship. This time he came to Mingshan Juemei for a sword of inheritance left in Juemei. The same thing happened in the camps of various divine sections. Everyone wanted to have a glimpse of young Master Guanhai and see with their own eyes what was so special about this famous young supreme being. Just when the monks had different thoughts, dozens of people from one camp rose into the sky and flew onto the divine ship. Some monks with venomous eyes recognized the identities of these people. They are from the Xiahou Immortal dynasty. The leader should be Xiahou Aoxue. After hearing this, many people who were unaware of the situation became enlightened. Everyone knows that Xiahou Xianchao and Yunwei are on good terms. It was natural for Xiahou Aoxue to take people to fly on the divine ship. On the sacred ship, Li Guanhai couldn't help but smile softly when he saw a woman in neon palace attire, with a graceful and cool temperament, gracefully landing in front of him. "Aoxue, have you been waiting for a long time?" Xiahou Aoxue shook his head. "No, I just arrived a few hours ago." As she spoke, her charming and slender eyes flashed, and she glanced at Lin Luoying, who was standing next to Li Guanhai, and then looked away without saying anything more. Just such a look made Lin Luoying's heart freeze. The look in her eyes was so terrifying, like an emperor looking down on an ant. Where did this woman come from, and how could she have such a terrifying imperial aura? Also, what was going on with the way she looked at me just now? It seemed like he was scrutinizing, but also like he was warning. Li Guanhai on the side naturally saw this scene and couldn't help feeling a little funny. Xiahou Aoxue's possessiveness was too strong. Lin Luoying was just standing next to her, so she was a little unhappy, and even used her eyes to intimidate others. "Sir, I'm going to leave now." Lin Luoying left wisely. When she turned around, she sighed quietly, feeling a little sad. The appearance of Xiahou Aoxue also made all the young geniuses on the divine ship excited, especially men. The first time they saw Xiahou Aoxue, they were completely impressed by her cool and majestic temperament. Those long and narrow phoenix eyes are not angry or intimidating, but with just a casual look. They are charming and seem to be able to attract the attention of all men, but they are also strict and inviolable. The young geniuses around didn't dare to stare at her, because the more they looked, the stronger their feelings of inferiority became. The woman in front of them was too powerful, with an imperial majesty that made people dare not look at her. Then again, this woman obviously had a close relationship with the young master of Guanhai. If he looked at her for a second longer, his eyes would probably be dug out. At this time, Xiahou Aoxue stared at Li Guanhai and asked in a cold voice, "Who was that woman just now?" "She is a disciple of Daoxian Tiangong." "Do you know each other well?" "Not very well." Li Guanhai was not a fool. Of course he knew how to answer at this time, but Xiahou Aoxue looked suspicious, with her eyes slightly narrowed. Obviously she didn't believe what he said. Li Guanhai changed the subject and said, "Aoxue, when do you think the yin qi of this Mingshan Juemei will weaken to its peak?" Xiahou Aoxue stared at him for a while, and then looked at the Mingshan Juemei that looked like a giant dragon. 3 days at most. On the other side. Lin Luoying did not return to her room to rest, but went to find Su Ran. Seeing that she came to find him on her own initiative, Su Ran was naturally overjoyed, and his mouth was almost crooked with laughter. He smiled and asked, "Luoying, what do you want to find me for?" Lin Luoying nodded, hesitated for a long time, and said, "Mingshan Juemei is too dangerous. It's no different to be alone and die. Should we take a companion when the time comes? This way we can take care of each other." Hearing this, Su Ran was stunned and could hardly believe what he heard. Lin Luoying actually took the initiative to ask to go with him. "Oh my God, did the sun rise from the west today?" Su Ran was almost overwhelmed by the sudden happiness. He forced himself to calm down, and his voice trembled with excitement. "Of course. Of course, not just kidding, how can you refuse a beautiful woman's invitation?" Hearing this, Lin Luoying smiled lightly, her eyes slightly curved. However, she felt indifferent and even sarcastic in her heart. The first step of the plan was successful. Chapter 29, Cousin as Pure as Ice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the same time, in a small town thousands of miles away from here, this town is not big, with a radius of only a few dozen miles. In addition, it is close to the Mingshan Absolute Vein, and the cultivators are reluctant to set foot here, so it is still relatively deserted, but today, this small town is more lively than ever, and countless cultivators come here to settle down. The reason they come here is of course for the Mingshan Absolute Vein. However, the Mingshan Absolute Vein is notorious, so they dare not approach it, so they choose to settle down here temporarily. Most of the cultivators in this city are independent cultivators, and their cultivation is not very strong. If they are not independent cultivators, they should not be here now, but in the gathering place of various gods and sections. Where there are people, there is the world. Where there is the world, there is business. This small town that was deserted in the past suddenly became extremely lively, and there were many independent cultivators setting up stalls and doing business on the streets. With such a large flow of people, it would be easy to make a fortune by setting up a small stall and putting a few strange and eccentric gadgets on it. There were bargaining sounds everywhere, and shouts were heard one after another. It was like a vegetable market. At this time, the main street in the city suddenly became noisy, and all the monks looked at the street corner at the same time. There, a beautiful girl who looked about 15 or 16 years old, wearing a white shirt, puffed her cheeks and was very dissatisfied with the looks of the people around her. The appearance of this girl was really like a celestial being. Her skin was like white jade, bright and beautiful, the white shirt fluttered slightly in the breeze, like a lily blooming in the dark night. There was a kind of pure beauty that was light and extraordinary, cold and pure, and natural. Her smart eyes were full of coldness, and she gave the monks around her a fierce look to express her dissatisfaction. The monks knew that they had lost their composure and offended others, so they looked away, feeling a little ashamed. This girl was too beautiful. If they had a blasphemous heart towards her, they would feel guilty, as if they had done something that was against the will of heaven and humanity. Of course, not all monks were like this, such as the young man in yellow who walked out of the crowd. He was tall and thin, with regular facial features, but his eye sockets were slightly dark, and he didn't look very energetic. It was obvious at a glance that she was overindulging herself without restraint. The young man's pair of obscene eyes moved up and down the girl's delicate body, and finally fixed on that unreal cold face. Beautiful, it was really beautiful. She was more than 10 times more beautiful than any beautiful woman he had ever seen in his life, especially that pure but cold temperament. It was simply a strong medicine that aroused a man's desire to conquer. If he could get this cold beauty and kiss her, he would be willing to die on the spot. The fire in the eyes of the yellow-shirted young man became more and more intense. His Adam's apple rolled and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva before he spoke. "Girl, I am." He was about to introduce himself, but as soon as he said it, the white-shirted girl turned and left, as if she didn't see him at all. The yellow-shirted young man was stunned, and then he was angry. There are so many monks watching around, and this girl is so unreasonable to not give him face. He was unwilling in his heart, and quickly chased after her and blocked the girl's way. The girl frowned slightly, opened her cherry lips slightly, and uttered a silver bell-like voice. "What's the matter?" The voice was cold and sweet, and it made people feel excited. "My name is Pan Yuan, and I am the eldest disciple of Shenhongxiu sect. May I ask your name, young lady? Would you like to be friends?" The yellow-shirted young man snapped open his folding fan and acted like a gentleman. "No need." However, the young girl's answer was extremely simple and clear, with only 2 words. After that, she walked around Pan Yuan, who was frozen in place, and walked towards the main street. After being repeatedly humiliated, coupled with the mocking eyes of the monks around him, Pan Yuan was so angry that he trembled all over. He could no longer maintain the hypocritical image of a gentleman and roared, "Stop her!" Before he finished speaking, several men with extraordinary aura jumped out of the crowd and surrounded the girl, locking her with their aura instantly. The girl frowned, knowing that there was no way to end it peacefully today. She looked cold on the surface, but she was very depressed in her heart. "I had just arrived in this small town and originally just wanted to go shopping, buy some interesting things and leave, but I didn't expect to encounter such a thing." What the master said was indeed true. It is not always a good thing for a girl to be too beautiful. At this time, Pan Yuan sneered and ordered, "Catch this ungrateful girl and ban her cultivation." As soon as these words came out, the monks around him showed their unwillingness. Pan Yuan is well known for his lustful nature. I don't know how many innocent women have been bullied. Could it be that this pure and beautiful girl in front of him could not escape the tragic fate? Many monks couldn't bear it and wanted to help, but because of the Xuanhuan Xiaomen behind Pan Yuan, they could only sigh and stand by and watch. After receiving the order, the guards with extraordinary auras took action one after another, and the magic power surged around them, trying to capture the girl by force. The girl's face was as cold as ice, and her eyes were indifferent. She raised her white hand, and the mysterious runes emerged, gathering into a raging wave of magic power condensed by the runes, instantly defeating all the attacks on her. The nearby monks were shocked. They did not expect the girl's magical power to be so terrifying. They retreated to avoid it. The raging waves of magic power were still strong. In the eyes of the guards who were horrified and desperate, they instantly engulfed them and twisted them into a blood mist. The weakest of these guards had a cultivation level of the peak of the Xian Master, and the strongest was in the middle stage of the Xian General, and this girl killed all of them at the same time with just one move. From this, it can be seen how terrifying the cultivation level of this seemingly pure and flawless girl must be. At least she has reached the Xian Martial level. At such a young age, she has reached the Xian Martial level. Such talent is not inferior to the top geniuses in the upper world, and the yellow-shirt young man named Pan Yuan was so scared that he couldn't speak at this moment. His face was pale and even his lips were trembling. He was about to say something, but saw a glimmer of light passing by and piercing his eyebrows. In the blink of an eye, several people with extraordinary cultivation were all killed. Looking at the young man in yellow shirt lying in a pool of blood, who had already lost all hope, the girl suddenly thought of someone, a great enemy who had kept her awake for 10 years and haunted her dreams. That man's name had been deeply engraved in her bones and blood, and she would never forget it. His name was Li Guanhai. My dear cousin, what are you doing now? Chapter 30, Entering the Dark Mountain and the Immortal Fairy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. During these 3 days, the number of cultivators in the gathering place not only did not decrease, but increased. Looking around, it was a sea of black, countless. Everyone was paying close attention to the changes in the Mingshan absolute veins. Even the slightest disturbance would cause a big stir. Until noon on the 4th day, the yin qi of the Mingshan absolute veins finally weakened to a level that was almost negligible. Countless cultivators were excited, sect disciples were ready to go, while independent cultivators formed gangs and formed temporary teams to take care of each other. On the divine ship, Li Guanhai stood with his hands behind his back, his white shirt fluttering in the wind, and his black hair like a waterfall fluttering in the wind, which made him look more elegant and lonely. He stared at the Mingshan where the purple air became extremely thin, and suddenly said, "You don't have to go in this time, stay outside to meet me." As soon as he finished speaking, Li Ningxuang's enchanting figure appeared beside him. She was silent for a while, and whispered, "Master, you must be careful." "Yes." Li Guanhai responded lightly, and then turned into a divine rainbow, flew to Xiahou Aoxue who was waiting at the bow, and asked, "Are you ready? Let's go." Xiahou Aoxue nodded. They turned into 2 streams of light, cut through the sky, and flew straight into the Mingshan absolute veins. At the same time, Daoxian Tiangong, Ganyong City, Beiwu Sword Domain and other divine sects also set off. Following closely were countless casual cultivators, who rushed to the Mingshan absolute veins like a large army. Strips of light shuttled through the air, weaving a gorgeous meteor shower. A girl with a temperament as pure as ice and unparalleled brightness also mixed in this meteor shower and flew into the Mingshan with the crowd. In the endless purple yin, a ball of white light quickly passed through this area. The white light dissipated, revealing the figures of Li Guanhai and Xiahou Aoxue. Looking around, the absolute vein was undulating, magnificent and vast, and the sky was covered with rich purple air, as if it was about to liquefy. Ripples were radiating from the peaks, and the light was intertwined. It was like a piece of secret treasure, shining brightly. The majestic world law could suppress the cultivation realm of all cultivators and creatures below the Xuanhuan. Xiahou Aoxue said, "It seems that we have entered the interior of the absolute vein of Mingshan." Then her jade palm flashed with white light, and a compass of strange shape appeared. There was a pointer in the middle of the compass that was spinning rapidly, and then it suddenly stopped and pointed to a certain direction. "I sense that the treasure lost by my ancestor is in that direction." Xiahou Aoxue showed a happy expression. smiling like a flower. Okay, let's go over there, we can't let others get there first. Li Guanhai said, and then he and Xiahou Aoxue rushed in the direction indicated by the compass only indicated the general direction. They had to search and judge by themselves to know how far and where exactly. Li Guanhai was on his way while receiving the news from Lin Luoying. She and Xuanhuan also came in smoothly and were now heading to the central area of Mingshan. Moreover, Xuanhuan did not stop on the road and headed straight in one direction, as if he had a purpose in mind. After learning the news, Li Guanhai was thoughtful. It seems that Xuanhuan knew where his opportunity was, so he was so sure to go to the central area. As for what he knew, it was probably related to his golden finger. Li Guanhai had a plan in mind. Xuanhuan's matter could be put aside for the time being. Although he had a clear goal, there were many dangers in Mingshan, and with his cultivation, he could not achieve it in a short time. After finishing the things at hand, go over to harvest leeks. The two of them went forward all the way. Wherever they passed, there were white bones on the ground, half buried in the soil, which looked eerie and strange. These bones are from humans and spirits. In addition, there are countless broken weapons and magic treasures scattered on the ground. All of them are broken, and their spirit charm is completely lost. It seems that an unimaginable tragic war has broken out here. The reason why the outside cultivators don't know is that no one has ever been able to get out of the dark mountain alive. Li Guanhai couldn't help but feel curious. The interior of the dark mountain is a world of its own. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is isolated from the outside, leaving only death and demonic energy. Could it be that living beings are born here? The piles of white bones on the ground are the result of the cultivators from the upper realm killing each other in order to compete for treasures, or were they wiped out by the mysterious creatures or restrictions in the dark mountain? Just as the thoughts in his mind were turning, Xiahou Aoxue's voice sounded from beside him. There are people in front. Li Guanhai looked up and saw several figures in front of him with precious light all around them. Those people also noticed this place and stopped in mid-air, because the distance was too far. Each other could only see the divine light and precious light covering each other, but could not see their faces clearly. But Li Guanhai could see it clearly. The red light in his pupils was looming, and everything was visible wherever his eyes went. This was one of the effects of the demon lord's eye, which could see through all darkness and chaos. The people in front were all women, wearing flowing cloud gowns, spotless and pure white. They were from the Baikan Palace. The leading woman was tall, with a veil on her face, and a layer of hazy glow all over her body. She was standing on a jade lotus platform, with divine light surging and fairy spirit curling. Seeing Li Guanhai and the other two approaching, she bowed and saluted, her voice ethereal, greetings to Master Guanhai, and to His Highness Aoxue. You are too polite, Fairy Wugue. Li Guanhai returned the salute slightly and asked casually, the Baikan Palace has always lived in seclusion and does not like fighting. Why are you willing to take the risk and enter the dark mountain this time? Fairy Wugue replied softly, Master divined the secrets of heaven and calculated that there is an opportunity for me in the dark mountain, so I came here specially. So that's how it is. The divination of the purple cold palace master can peek into the way of heaven and even deduce the number of Dian. It's really amazing. Li Guanhai said this, and this was not a compliment, but the real truth. Besides, looking at the entire upper world, who is qualified for him to compliment? Master Guanhai, you are too kind. Fairy Wugue's eyes were slightly curved outside the veil. Li Guanhai smiled faintly and said, if I have time in the future, I will definitely visit you and ask Palace Master Xiahou to deduce the Wheel of Fate. It is a great honor for our Baikan Palace that Master Guanhai has come. We will definitely sweep the tower to welcome you. Thank you, goodbye. Li Guanhai said no more, and he and Xiahou Aoxue turned into streams of light and left here. Looking at their gradually receding figures, Fairy Wugue's thoughts were a little complicated. How could such a gentle and calm man bring disaster to the upper world? But Master's deduction technique has never been wrong. Forget it, don't think about these, it's more important to find that thing first. Let's go. The jade lotus under Fairy Wugue's feet trembled, and she took a few people from Baikan Palace to another direction.